Hello Homeworthy, it's Jodie. Welcome to my home in Nottingham, England. Come on in. Hello, I'm Jodie Hazlewood and you're here at my home in Nottingham, England. So me and my partner found this property at the start of lockdown. It had been lived in by a professor, a very interesting man who had escaped from Germany as a Jewish child. And he had lived here, he was quite eccentric, and he'd lived here for 45 years. By the time he passed away, sadly, there was no heating, he didn't want anyone to come into the property, so it was in complete disarray, there was no modern power here. So we got it and it was verging on derelict, which was an experience to do that kind of renovation during COVID lockdown. So we've lived here now for just over 2 years. Part of that time it was obviously derelict, so we were in Airbnbs. And I live here with my partner Ollie and our little dog, Roy Dandy. So I had quite a varied career before I got to this point of working in interiors. I did a geography degree, an urban geography degree. I love geography. Then I worked in fashion merchandising in London, which I didn't really like, but I did learn some great skills. Then I ran off and worked on a yacht for 3 years for a billionaire. So I traveled the world working on a yacht, below deck style. Then I came back and retrained as a makeup artist. And for the last decade worked as a makeup artist and actually had my own hair and makeup artist agency. But when I did this renovation, I knew my true passion was always interiors. But there's a lot of crossover between makeup and interiors. It's all about colour, texture, making mainly women happy. So it felt like a really easy lead on to then work into interiors like I do now. So now I run the house upstairs, which is an interior design business as well as us producing furniture like ottomans, upholstered goods, cushions. Luckily, Nottingham, where we live, is the home of British upholstery. So we have all these amazing workshops and factories locally where we can get stuff made. So it's been an absolute joy to take this massive sidestep in my career at this point in my life. Welcome to my entry hall. So when we found this property, they had 60 suspended ceilings. So the ceilings actually cut across all of the windows, so bizarre. So we knocked out the ceilings and we found all this brilliant original height, which I think just makes for such a lovely entryway. In our last house, coats and shoes and dog stuff was such a problem. So one of our big priorities was putting in this little cupboard, the tiniest boot room ever, which has all of our coats, shoes, dog things, and it just keeps it all tipped away, and we've got postcards and little memories in there as well. The rug, I love rugs from Morocco, so we've got tons of things from Morocco in the house. We go to Marrakesh 3-4 times a year to source stuff for the business, and I love the fact this one looks pretty old and tatty. I actually think that adds to it. When I'm thinking about laying out a house, I always think about eye lines and what you see as you walk in. So I really wanted a round table as you walk through into the house. This has just got flowers, sometimes real, sometimes fake, at the minute real because you guys are here, but often fake. And lots of art books and just bits and bobs that kind of catch the eye as you come in. Unbelievably, underneath, above those 60 suspended ceilings that were all over the property, they'd hidden all of the original Victorian stained glass, which our builders found on day one of the renovation. So it was such a joy to reveal all of that. A while ago, I found this 1950s, I think, French culinary school sideboard, which originally we just had a blank wall here, but it's so useful for sunglasses, keys, and it's a bit of a kind of moving memory of things that are in and out of our house, because obviously we do sell vintage pieces. So anything I'm loving goes on here for a little bit, and then sometimes it might get sold and sometimes we might keep it. Candles, cute lamps, love a pear, bit of art. So this is just a kind of a moving situation of things that I'm loving at the minute. It's also got pretty handy baskets underneath for scarves, hats, stuff for the garden that we have nowhere to keep outside. There's an amazing company in the UK called Surface View that has the rights to print art from the V&A, the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, and the Natural History Museum, and other museums around the UK. So, and you can print it on tiles, you can print it on fabric, you can do it on canvas or paper. So these are just some of my favourite things from their collection printed out. It's just such a easy way to get large pieces of art into your home. And then the two smaller pieces are vintage, one I found in Bordeaux in France and one in a charity shop in London. So the property originally, when it was built in Victorian times in 1875, was built for a lace maker. Nottingham is known for its lace making, and they had, it would have been a very grand house. In the 1960s, it was split into 3 properties. So it was a really, really big house, and they turned it into 3 flats. And ours is the first floor and the second floor of the larger building. So this is our dining area, which flows directly from our entrance hall. When we discovered the property, all the original 60 ceilings, as I said, were there, so it felt very dark. There was a bedroom here, believe it or not. The staircase was L-shaped. So this area was a kind of dark maze of rooms. So the first thing we did was ripped out the staircase and put in this staircase, which our builders made for us, from a picture I found on Pinterest, which was epic of them. And we knew that we wanted to use this space for entertaining. It's a weird space, and it would have been maybe a bit of a dead space if we just left it as is. And I knew that I wanted to entertain large groups. So we found this table from, the top is from an Eastern European factory, and our friends at PC Pirates made us a frame for it. We can seat 12 easily, 14 at a push. We love to have big groups here. And even though it's a flat, we can actually hold loads of people. It's such a good entertaining space. And we also work from home here. Sometimes we'll pack boxes from here when we're shipping vintage stuff. So it's a really multi-use and brilliant space. The huge light shades, which get a lot of attention, we got shipped here from Africa, from South Africa. We had to take the front door off to get them in. And the day the electrician fit them, he never came back on site again. He hated them so much. But now they're up, they look amazing. We rarely turn them on. I much prefer mood lighting in here. So we've got lots of lamp situations dotted about. So it just feels a little bit more sexy and relaxed. The chairs are from IKEA. We kind of ran out of budget when we needed to buy 14 chairs. So the chairs are £16 each from IKEA, and I really like them. They're super comfy. We probably won't have them forever, but they were a great solution when we just needed lots of chairs. I love Slim Aarons, and Slim Aarons very much reminds me of working on yachts, and I've always had some kind of Slim Aarons print in every house I've ever lived in. So we've got this huge picture of a scene on Pampelon Beach in Saint-Tropez where I used to work a lot on yachts, which overlooks the dining table, and I think it gives that kind of sexy holiday vibe to the area. In this room, when we actually renovated, we found all the original Victorian plaster and the original Victorian friezes. So we actually left this wall unplastered to show the original Victorian plaster and just to give the room some more interesting patina. This arch here goes through to another house, but this originally would have been the bedroom floor of the much grander house before it was converted in the 1960s. So all of our living spaces would have been very impressive bedrooms in Victorian times. I wanted the decor of this house to feel completely us, very eclectic, a representation of the fact we love to travel. I wanted it to look like it was very lived in, like it had always been here. I had to stop the builders continuously wanting to make everything look brand new. They wanted us to replace all the floors. I wanted to keep all the rickety old floorboards. So my main concern was for it to look like it had been here for years, that we hadn't just done a full renovation. When our friends and family are here, I want them to feel like they can sit anywhere, put their feet anywhere. I want people to feel completely relaxed, completely comfortable. I want the house to feel like a holiday home, like a joyful place where you're going to have fun. So let me take you through to our sitting room. Welcome to our sitting room, which leads straight through to our kitchen. It was really important to me that we could create two sitting areas in this room. I wanted a little cosy sitting area for chatting and playing games, and then a larger, more relaxed TV area where we could sit lots of people. A rule of thumb is that you can sit as many people in your sitting room as you can around your dining table. That's quite tricky because we can sit 12 people around the dining table, but we could just about squeeze 12 people in here at a push. It'd be very cosy, but we could. So originally the sitting room and the kitchen would have been in Victorian times 2 bedrooms, and in the 60s they would have been 2 sitting rooms. But we decided to open up the 2 spaces and flow our sitting room into our kitchen. So we took out part of this wall here, and instead of it just being a regular opening, we completely encased it with floor to almost to ceiling bookshelves, which holds all of our books, magazines, camera stuff, and other little bits and bobs and photos, and it really is probably the best feature in the room. In this room, we don't actually have an overhead light because I would never put an overhead light on in a sitting room. I'm all about the lamps. I think there might be 8 lamps in here. I love the cosy look that lamps give. We actually also put all of the lamps on a 5-amp circuit so that you can turn them on all at once on the wall, and I just think that is such an everyday luxury, not having to go around and turn on and off every lamp individually. So we have between us collected loads of art during, for our years of being adults, and we have bits of it here. Some of it's expensive, some of it is a couple of quid from a charity shop, and I will mix this up and change it as I go, so it's not like a fixed thing. Another thing that I love to have in here is a bar where people can just help themselves to drinks. It's chaotic and full of random booze that we've acquired during travelling. And then it's actually a French antique, a hunting cupboard. In the cupboard we've got all of our napkins and extra glasses and tonics and mixers. So I really like to have a bar. I think it feels festive when friends come round. When we got the house, sadly a lot of the original features had been ripped out. So we did a lot of eBaying and a lot of sourcing of things that felt the right era to put back in. We found this marble fireplace on eBay. It was being ripped out of a house in London, and I just think it really makes the room and it gives it a focal point. And we have an open fire there, which we use all winter. So again, it just makes this very large room feel a little bit more cosy. We were really lucky during the renovation to have the most amazing builders, and we showed them a couple of pictures of a whole wall of bookcases, and they just made it for us, like magic, which was a dream, really. And Ollie is a massive reader. I'm a massive magazine reader, so most of these books are Ollie's, and most of the magazines are mine, and I do try and keep up on reading all of my interior magazine subscriptions, but I do get a bit behind. But so this is all of our storage in our sitting room. It's got our travel books, we've got little photos, and it's just really good storage, and it looks really spectacular, and I love the way it gives depth between the sitting room and the kitchen. I think your home should be a visual memory of your life. So I like things that have patina, I like things that look old, I like things from different eras. I think that's what gives a home soul. It shouldn't be too perfect. You shouldn't care if things get dirty a little bit or look a little older. I think homes feel more relaxed and look better when they look lived in. I love colour, and we've used colour all over the house. I think the way that you can use colour in a chic way is to always temper it with something calmer. So for the room we're sitting at the minute, it's a very strong blue. It's Farrow & Stone blue, but the curtains I went for are ultimately the most simple off-white, plain curtains. It could have been tempting to do quite a jolly over-the-top curtain, but I think that you just need to always balance colour with simple, chic, plain things so that the whole finished look is actually quite calm. So let me take you through to my beloved kitchen. Welcome to my kitchen, which I think is my favourite room in the house. We spend so much time in here. We both love to cook, and this is probably the hub of the house. We often have people sitting here for drinks while we're cooking. The entire kitchen was actually originally from a gentleman's outfitters in the Cotswolds in Cheltenham. So all of this was their storage for shirts and everything they sold. And we bought it from some friends who buy and sell large pieces of vintage furniture, and they amazingly turned it into the kitchen for us. Although it is oak and extremely strong, so we didn't need to do tons to it. They put the sink in for us, and randomly all the appliances fitted perfectly, so we could just slot in our dishwasher, and the drawers are so sturdy and so huge, so we didn't need any extra storage other than the drawers that came with it. And then we had 2 other sets of drawers that we could have either side of our oven. The Lacanche we found reconditioned on eBay at about half the price that they normally go for. So I was very pleased about that, because a full price new one would have been a little bit out of my budget. The backsplash are vintage Spanish floor tiles that we bought from Maitland and Pote online. I don't really think we need a backsplash. I just think it adds great patina and interest to the room, and I love the fact they're faded and such pretty colours. It's just such a nice space to cook in. I really love being in here. I'm an obsessive batch cooker, so I am a massive freezer user, so we'll make, I call it my quarterly ragu. So every 3 months I make a huge pot of ragu with beef short ribs and Italian sausage, and then I'll freeze that in batches and we'll eat that once a week for about 3 months. That's why I call it my quarterly ragu. But we love to cook a lot of Southeast Asian food. We love roasts. I'm not a huge baker, but I've got a couple of cakes that I make. Yeah, but it's such a nice space to cook in. So for storage of our plates and glasses and servingware, we actually use commercial racking. Originally, when we did the renovation, I had great dreams of built-in joinery, but we had run out of budget at that point. So I actually now love the commercial racking. It's super strong, it's nice and easy to keep clean, and it's so cheap. And I like the way that it brings another material into the space as well. And you can get tons and tons on it. Quite a few years ago, one of my best friends was a butler on an estate in West Sussex, and one of the cottages had been abandoned and left tons of this Austrian pottery, and I was kindly gifted it because it was about to be chucked away. And now I collect it. It's called Gemundner ceramic, and I just get bits of it on eBay, but I really love this simple pattern. I think they've been making pottery there since the 1200s. So that's my absolute favourite. But the rest is just IKEA. I only ever do cheap glasses because we have loads of people around here for drinks quite often and they all get broken. So I'm not into an expensive glass. But yeah, I like to mix up my crockery. But this is my favourite, this Austrian crockery. My dream in this kitchen was to have a walk-in larder, but there really wasn't anywhere natural for it to go. We found this huge cupboard, and it is huge. I think it's 9 foot tall. On eBay, and we think it was originally a Victorian solicitor's cupboard. We got our builders to jigsaw out the interiors of the door. My mom made these little stripy curtains, and then we put chicken wire inside, and now this holds all of our food, dry food, also our microwave, our toaster, our kettle, and it's just become the most perfect storage. It is a little wonky, the doors are a little stiff, but everything we need is in here. Wine, all the random electrical goods that I hardly ever use. It's good storage. I really wanted to create a little nook in here for working. I don't often sit here, but sometimes sit here, but it's nice when people are cooking that we can do a little bit of home working. I also wanted a really good nook for all of my cookbooks. So our builders made us these corner shelves, which were actually really hard to find. And that's got almost my entire cookbook collection. So it just made use of a corner that I'm not entirely sure we would have used otherwise. We found this renovation hard. It was tough, Renovations are very stressful. You always go over budget. Making constant decisions all day is draining, and it's hard on a relationship. But I can't believe that we won't do another renovation. Potentially not in this country, maybe in France or Italy, probably France. But yeah, it's given me that I don't think now I could ever just move into a house and it'd be done. I prefer to start from scratch with a period property where I can really put a stamp on it. So let me take you to our downstairs guest bedroom, but on the way I will show you our tiny downstairs loo, or as you call it, powder room. So on the way to the loo, you can see this rocking horse mould. So this was a mould for rocking horses in the 1940s from their factory, and it's made out of fiberglass. I really love it, and we got that from Vinteria recently. So let me take you through to the downstairs loo. So this is our teeny tiny downstairs loo. We used Pierre Frey wallpaper. It's called Painterly or Artily, I think, and it's one of my favourite wallpapers. I knew I wanted to use it somewhere. I probably wouldn't use it in a large room, but I love it in the downstairs loo. And then we picked out all of the woodwork in Scotch Blue by Farrow & Ball. So it's a very cute little space. So this flat is actually a duplex or a maisonette, so we've got an entire upper floor as well. But of our 2 guest bedrooms, on this floor is the best guest bedroom. This is the cosy spot which we wanted to make so comfortable for our friends and family. The room is painted top to toe, including the ceiling in green, and it is actually quite a north-facing dark room, but I just really wanted to make quite a statement with the colour in here and make it kind of even smaller and cosier. It's a very sentimental room because our friends and family stay in here, so we've got an entire wall of maps, which are all places that are important to us, either where we're from or places like our first trip, or where I used to work on yachts, or one of Ollie's sailing courses. We've got his maps that he learnt on. So this is a really nice place for our friends and family to take a look and know all the places that are important to us. We also wanted this room to be super cosy, so we've got a little armchair. This is one of the armchairs in our collection, and a footstool, so you can sit in here and read and chill out. The 4-poster bed, we actually, it was part of a collaboration I did with a brand, but we painted it and we added these Indian block print curtains, and we also added a valance, we added a headboard. So we just tried to find a kind of budget way of making a very kind of English country house style 4-poster bed. I think it makes the room extra cosy in here. So off this little guest bedroom, we've got a tiny ensuite. It's such a cute little shower room. We've used Mexican tiles across the entire shower, and we also did a panel of them behind the mirror, the vintage mirror, and also on the windowsill. So again, it feels like hopefully a little holiday in here. My favourite thing about our home is that I love to come home. It brings me so much joy to be here. It's probably my favourite place in the world, and that includes all my favourite holiday destinations. I just love being at home. So I guess it's comfortable, it's a full expression of who we are, and I just love being here. So let me take you upstairs to our bedroom and upstairs sitting room. So welcome to our bedroom sitting room. When we originally viewed this house, this was the main bedroom. It was long and dark and not what you'd want as your main bedroom ideally. So randomly the builders were with us on the second viewing, and they found a little hatch in the wall here. They looked through and found this entire void, loft void, which had never been used since Victorian times. So we were lucky enough to knock through there and turn what would have been our main bedroom into a very spoiling bedroom sitting room, which only we use. We have a wood burning stove in here. We've got a roll top bath. We've got really epic views across Nottinghamshire. We've also got a very sneaky coffee cupboard, so we don't have to go downstairs for coffee in the morning, which I love. We just got the builders to put a little sink into this cupboard, and we've got a little fridge in there, and we've got some wine in there, so that's where we get our morning coffee instead of going downstairs. So all of the chairs in here are vintage. We either found them on eBay or in charity shops, and we had them all recovered by our workshop. So the sofa is recovered in a Spanish brand's fabric called Gaston y Daniela. This is a horrible old office chair from someone's office reception, which we covered in James Malone. And then we have this 1940s armchair, which I covered in some fabric that I found in Mallorca, in the flea market in Mallorca. This is one of our ottomans. This was probably my favourite. This is the honey, and this is in a Christopher Farr fabric. I just love this piece of furniture so much. I'm so proud that we made this. We put in a lovely wood-burning stove. So when we're trying to save money on our heating, we sit up here in the winter. The tiles around it are Mexican, and the surround is actually reclaimed from a church. So it was some kind of detailing on the back of pews in a church that was being knocked down. So the builder just put those in as the surround, and we just painted them up. The boat we got from an antique store in the Cotswolds. The lovely sconces are from a lovely dealer on Instagram called Wallace Antiques. I really love those. I think she sourced those in France. The wallpaper is Pierre Frey Le Panini, which is based on a 17th century embroidery or 18th century embroidery. Even though it's such an old-fashioned print, the colours are kind of acid and day glow, so I like that contrast. I wanted up here to feel like an English country sitting room. I wanted it to be really cosy and pretty and a bit silly and a bit magical. And then we've got another Slim Aaron's print on the wall of two people sitting in the pool playing backgammon. Ollie loves to play backgammon, and I will sometimes play with him, but we will play up here on this table. So this is our bedroom, and I feel so over the moon that the builders found this entire space in the eaves of the building, again, which hadn't been used since they built the house in 1875. I wanted to do a really matchy-matchy moment in here. The rest of the house is very, very eclectic, and I wanted here to have a really simple palette of blue and white, for it to be very calming. It's probably the bedroom I've dreamt of since I was about 8. So it's got a canopy, it's got a huge headboard, all the fabrics match. We found these incredible sketches in the Bordeaux flea market. My dad lives in Bordeaux, so we go there quite a lot. And they were €2 each. And I just loved them in here. I love the character they bring. I had them framed in this very simple aluminium frames, kind of like a bit of a 90s reference, because they're quite dramatic and I wanted to take some of the drama out of them. It makes me sad that they were probably thrown into a house clearance when someone passed away, and so someone's relative drew these amazing sketches, and I'm glad that I've rescued them and they're now in our bedroom. We have, as well at the end of our bed, our Aria bench, which is our best-selling bench, which is also used as a designing bench, but I love it at the end of the bed here. We've got a little reading nook with a lovely armchair and footstool. Yeah, it's just the coziest spot. This is a chair that always gets a lot of love. It's a vintage chair that I found at the workshop, which was just being kind of abandoned. And we covered it in this amazing Pierre Frey embroidered fabric, and I love it in here. It's a bit of a contrast to all the blue and white. And then I've got these brilliant, fun Mexican puppets as well, which I think just make the room a little funner instead of too matchy and too serious. Welcome to our outdoor space. Only about 6 weeks ago, this was just a horrible, dirty fire escape and some rough ground. And we have, over the last 6 weeks, with obviously our builder's help, put in this little tiny courtyard garden. And we're going to hopefully enjoy it for years to come. There was nothing here, so we literally started from scratch. We knew that we wanted a seating area so that we could have people here to have drinks and food. So we put in this raised tiled platform so we could squeeze in a sofa and a table. We also put in this reclaimed Victorian sink, which we got off eBay, and a little tap for plants, and eventually we'll have an outdoor kitchen here when budget allows, maybe next summer. And our builder's built us this little outdoor table so that we can maybe do some food prep on there in the future, and just to kind of look after the plants. I've got lots of herbs growing out here because we love to cook. And I think one of the biggest tips I've got for a courtyard garden is to use mirrors. They are so effective in making the space look bigger, and we even squeezed in a water feature because it was my dream to have a water feature, even though this is a 4 metre in each direction yard. But I just think it's calming and it's a lovely noise, and it just makes the space a little bit more magical. The word home means to me self-expression, the fullest expression of who we are, comfort, utter relaxation, and a haven, somewhere we can retreat to and be at our happiest.